Let's get started on today's webinar, HDL Advanced Audio Features. We're going to go through and break down several of these features, how to use them, what problems they resolve, and ultimately why you want to use them. So without further ado, let's get into it. HDL's advanced audio solutions allow you to do the following. Quickly access installation tools, hear soft talkers and hybrid meetings, reduce interference from external noise sources, overcome reverberant spaces, and we do this actually quite well. Enhance your audio conferencing system with external mics, and the only one that I'm not really going to talk about today is use sound location data for enhanced camera tracking. If you are familiar with our recent series of webinars, we did go in depth on camera switching last week. I will touch on one feature throughout the presentation here, but ultimately, if you want more information on camera switching, let us know and we'll look you up with that webinar if you didn't get a chance to see it. And finally, we're going to talk about some in-room control stuff, a new feature that we brought online here very recently. So the first thing we want to do is better understand room acoustics. Well, we have got a fantastic tool to do this if you are not familiar. The Nureva app featuring the acoustic check tool is specifically available on iPhone or iPad devices of a certain revision, the newer ones, but not that new. And certainly what it's going to allow you to do is things like fast troubleshooting and enhanced intelligibility. You can instantly identify if room acoustics are causing audio issues. This reduces guesswork and support time. You get accurate RT60 measurements to help you do this, and background noise measurements to help you determine how you can improve intelligibility. Let's take a look at a few of these results, as it were. Now, this is showing the standard, what you would see on a screen if you're testing in a room that has really good acoustics. Start the acoustic check. You get that very first screen where it's giving you your score after you've gone through and done all the testing, and then, of course, the individual breakdowns of the tests themselves. The background noise check is effectively just that. We are measuring the noise in the space, whereas reverberation is doing an RT60, a reverberation time decay over 60 seconds. We want to look at how quickly audio decays in that space. Now you might be thinking that, hey, this is an iPhone. Why am I doing this testing on an iPhone? Well, folks, this is a calibrated audio measurement device when you're using our tool, because we are calibrated to those iPhone microphones. Whoops, jump back slide there. Anyway, but what happens if things go a little sideways, if it's not quite as good? Well, here's a few examples to take a look at. So in this example, we've got pretty decent reverberation time, but our background noise is high, 59 dBc. This is telling me that you likely have a source of noise in the room, something like an air conditioner or similar. Now, the other score is going to tell the tale of what you can expect to see in a really large space, possibly a common area with a lot of background noise. Neither score is fantastic. The one on the left is a little bit better. But ultimately, a low score does not mean Nureva systems won't work in your space. You may need to explore another placement location or add sound treatments to improve the acoustics in the room. Ultimately, you can contact Nureva, though, and we will help you look at your score, discuss some options, and ultimately find you a solution if you are needing to improve that space acoustically. Hearing soft talkers clearly. Now I'll take a look at this example here. We've got our good friend Steve sitting here in the corner of the meeting room here. And see this guy just over here. I'm kind of pulling him right out here. That guy right there is my horrible circle. And now Steve is a fantastic guy, great engineer, super smart, but he's really quiet. He's one of those soft talkers. And of course, we want to hear what he says because ultimately, he's a great contributor to the meeting. But Steve talks quietly. So how are we going to resolve that? Well, we've got the ability to adjust the noise reduction in the space as the very first step. Adjusting noise reduction can help with microphone pickup. Lowering the threshold on the noise reduction trigger will open up that microphone pickup. Now, it may introduce unwanted background noise, although this is usually minimal and it's going to be an acceptable trade-off. Most spaces that I've had to do this in, to just open up that mic, get a little bit better pickup, generally don't have any problems in that regard. If you do have a little bit more noise in the space, it may be a better trade-off in that sense. However, again, it's all about picking up that guy in the corner a little bit better. But let's say we want to try something else. let's bring up all of the mics in the room. And this is where the mic gain adjustment really makes a lot of sense. Now, note it works in two different modes, uniform gain adjustments or individual frequency bands. I'll touch on those individual frequency bands a bit later because that's going to solve a different issue. What I'll do is I will toggle that uniform gain adjustment on, and that's going to allow me to increase the level of the entire microphone signal. And this way, when I'm dealing with a soft talker, I'm sorry, hit my microphone there, or just a little pickup in the room, it's advised to adjust all gains uniformly. We're just going to bring up all of the mic gain in the space. Now, in some cases, it may be beneficial to add an external mic, noting there are some constraints. I'm going to touch on external mics in a few slides. But ultimately, as I mentioned, adjusting the individual frequency bands is not typically done for soft talkers. That's to address different concerns in this space. So ultimately, drop the noise pickup down a little bit, the noise cancellation, bring the mics up a little bit, and you're going to get a lot better pickup throughout that space. But what if we've got a problem with the external noise? Well, this one's a little bit different so much in that we're not necessarily going to reduce the external noise, but we're going to be improving your ability to hear in the space. So I've got a great example of sort of worst case scenario that we could see here. And I've encountered customers that have similar setups where they've got the manufacturing floor right beside a meeting room. Of course, this has got the nice window so you can see those cars being built, but this introduces a problem that you might get a little bit too much noise coming into that space. So what do? Well, let's turn up the level in the room a little bit. The dynamic boost feature is going to boost speaker output by up to about 10 dB. Now, this does depend on the input signal, but ultimately you should be able to bring that overall volume up quite a bit. This will bring up low-level speech details for improved speech intelligibility in the room. Everybody in the room can hear better. Automatically tune the EQ to optimize the in-room listening experience. So overall, just going to improve things. If it's a little noisy in that room, let's just turn things up and make it so everybody can hear a bit better. Now, what if I need to optimize my microphone pickup? It's not so much that I've got a soft talker, but I may have another issue in the room that I need to work around. So a few of the ones that we've dealt with, well, this one's fairly common in the sense that the space is too reverberant. Large room, lots of hard, flat spaces, really high ceiling, reverberance. Too much echo, very much like a reverberant space, but in the type of the room that we see here, you got a much lower ceiling. It's a much broader room, but nothing but hard, flat surfaces. So again, very echoey. Voices sound muffled in a space like this potentially. You got a lot of people, a lot of absorption happening throughout this space, and it's going to make things sound a little bit flat. Conversely, tinny spaces, rooms that are really bright, maybe not so much as reverberant, but again, just very bright, almost too much clarity to the voice itself. So this is where we will look at the microphone equalization, those individual frequency bands. I will turn that adjust gain uniformly button to the left, turning that off. And now I'm going to go through and individually adjust each one of the different sliders. So if I've got reverberance, if I got that boomy room, I'm going to drop that low end down. I'm going to bring that bass out of the mix. I'm going to make it so that reverberance is dialed down. And this works quite well with rooms that are moderately to a little bit more heavily reverberant. Rooms that are really heavily reverberant, you're going to have to treat that space. And that kicks you back to the acoustic check out that we were discussing earlier. Mid is the big one. Mid brings the voices in the room. Now, that could flatten out the voices too if you've got a little bit too much, but ultimately what I recommend more often than not is we're going to drop that bass, we're going to bring the mids up, that deals with reverberance, brings the speaker a bit more forward in the mix, and overall you're going to get a bit better performance. However, in some cases, you may again find that room is tinny or it's a little bit too bright. So we want to flatten that out by bringing that high down, or again, reverse if things are sounding a little bit, unintelligible. We'll bring the detail in the voice up by bringing that high up. So again, low is for reverberance, bass in the space. Mid's going to bring that voice forward, and then the high will deal with either too much tinniness or not enough clarity to the voices. What if we need to amplify the presenter volume? Perhaps you've got somebody who's going to be presenting all day and they're getting strain on their voices, or we just want to have them be able to be heard a little better throughout the room. Well, perfect example here is you've got a large auditorium. You've got a presenter in front of the room, or perhaps he's walking up and down the stairs. Let's give him the ability to go about it a little bit easier. The Adaptive Voice Amplification feature allows Nureva audio systems to amplify a presenter's voice, specifically using external microphones. It's easy to set up and use in a UC&C call with no additional DSP required. We do all of that on board our system. Now, tuning tools allow you to set in-room amplification levels through being able to set not only the room volume, but it's also the far-end participant volume. So again, it's depending on the overall situation, you can make it so it's a very concise, consistent experience for everybody attending. One other feature that gets brought in when adding an external microphone is the microphone ducking itself. This prevents external mics from picking up audio signals other than the presenter's voice. We strongly encourage you to enable mic ducking in the adaptive voice amplification settings in the Nureva app or Nureva console. So effectively what it does is if I'm using a stick mic, it's going to turn off the bar mics. And then if I stop using that stick mic, the bar mics are turned back on. We can hear everybody in the room. Works extremely well. Takes 5 to 10 minutes to set up. One of the other things, though, is, of course, external microphones. What type can we work with? Well, there's a pile. Earset, headset, lav mics, handheld mics, goosenecks. The one that I tend to stay away from are the boundary mics because they end up with that bigger polar pickup pattern. It's just not great to get a mic with too big of a pattern, too close to the bar, because then suddenly things are getting picked up. You end up in that potential for feedback. However, with any of these mics, as seen, they work extremely well. We've tested a bunch. We've got them documented. If you do have questions on this, folks, support at nureva.com, or just go to support.nureva.com. And you'll find all sorts of articles there on exactly how to do this. Specifically in this regard, search tuning your external microphone. Now, got to plug the mic in. Of course, cabling is important. When using the auxiliary in and out ports, it is recommended to keep the maximum cabling length to 6 feet. These are unbalanced inputs. The maximum cable length is suggested to ensure minimum noise coupled to the signal. If you do have a concern about noise or you do need to run a little longer, I recommend changing these to a balanced signal using a transformer or similar type device. And this will allow you much longer runs, much better protection from things like noise. Installing third-party equipment next to the Connect module will help avoid long cable runs and proximity to noisy cables. And this, of course, will assist with keeping noise coupling from happening. Now, when we're using an analog device here, of course, the HDL 410 and 310 system will be connected using that 3.5 connection via the 3-conductor tip ring sleeve, as you can see here in the picture. This type of connection can also be used with external microphones when using AVA, as I've been mentioning. Now, external microphone connections can be balanced or unbalanced. However, both the HDL 410 and 310 Connect modules will only support mono inputs when using external microphones, so no stereo mics. It's recommended to use a balanced cable for external microphone connections, and again, you can see that connection set up here. And what does a wiring diagram look like for this? Excessively simple. It doesn't get easier than this, folks. You will plug that receiver directly into our device, the Connect module, as shown there for the HDL 310, 410. And again, more information, support.nureva.com. If you're looking to do any of this, or just reach out to us at support@nureva.com. Always happy to help. Now, I kind of touched on this slightly at the beginning. The camera switching stuff is heavily covered in previous webinars. We can certainly provide you a link to that. But one thing I want to touch on is a really cool feature. That's dealing with noisy spaces causing mistriggering on cameras. Now, this could be the room itself has got a little bit too much noise in it, or perhaps you've got a room beside that manufacturing floor like we were discussing before. Well, how do we get around that? Voice detection AI. An AI-enabled algorithm enhances sound location data accuracy. This sound location data is used for automatic camera tracking and switching, as you may know. But what we're doing here is we've got AI-enabled voice detection to differentiate between human voices and background sounds. So we're staying locked on the presenter. We're not providing extraneous sound location data when you get a whack in the room for something hitting the floor, or perhaps outside you've got that manufacturing happening. So the result is improved and reliable camera automation, and that eliminates interference caused by background noise. Works extremely well. Now, the last thing that I'm going to touch on here, because as I mentioned, this is a bit of a shorter webinar here today, simplifying device control. This is a new feature, really, really slick too. What we've allowed you to do is effectively control these live sessions through the control feature of the Nureva app itself. If you don't have the Nureva app, you should get the Nureva app. Why don't you have the Nureva app? You can do acoustic checks with it too. But what this is going to do in the room is you enable that control feature right there, as you can see on the left-hand side. And this little animation that we see is going to show you specifically what you can do. You can mute the microphone, you can go through turn up, turn down the volume, and you can also lock that device out so the participants in the room only have access to doing these audio manipulations, be able to adjust the volume, adjust the mute, go from there. So that's kind of it for the advanced audio features presentation today. We've explored what you can do with different acoustical challenges. We've talked about the different features, how to use them, what problems they're meant to resolve, and ultimately recognizing when you need to use them and how to configure these features. So with that being said, folks, if you do have any follow-up questions, you can always get to us at support@nureva.com or go to support.nureva.com for all sorts of great articles, all sorts of help in regards to this. And certainly, again, reach out to us if you do need more help. That is, of course, today's presentation.